This is a story from very ancient times indeed. It is said that in those days birds had not yet split into domestic and wild kindreds. In those days a crimson moon shone down upon the subterranean realm, and not the dark sun of the later days. Due to the kingdom's unique position, things from outside this world were always leaking into it. The kingdom's weapons would wipe out the calamity slipping in, but what of all the other objects? Such as, say, a child who may have come from some destroyed world. One of the sages spoke thusly to the great ruler. O high of the nobles, a child once told me a tale of another world. Once upon a time, there were sea people who believed that they came from the sea. Each time they discovered a shipwrecked person, they would treat them with the utmost honor, for they believed that they would take the form of the shipwrecked to investigate the mortal realm. The ruler replied, I do not perceive your meaning, so do as you please. Naturally, no oceans in the traditional sense lay within the kingdom's borders. The earliest founders of the kingdom had once seen the majestic silhouettes of the mountains blur under the sun's searing glare, and the rippling reflections of the moonlight falling upon the sea surface like a scattering of pearls. But at the time the story took place, only outsiders and those few who had left the kingdom on official duties and returned could describe such sights to the ruler. The ocean and the sea were often used as a metaphor for the space projected by the stars. In anticipation of the arrival at their kingdom of them from beyond the so-called ocean, or rather the care of such children. In latter days, the orphans of the kingdom and those who wandered in from outside were accepted as well. The young Perinheri's first memory was that of being asked by the grown-ups to crawl through a dark corridor. This passage might have been a chimney for winter fires, for it was filled with coal ash, and there was not a single crack in it through which smoke or light could pass through. As he crawled, he would sometimes stumble in the pitch-black darkness. Fortunately, the corridor appeared designed for the passage of children in the first place, so the falls were not very painful. It also lacked any annoying cobwebs. When Perinheri reached the end at last, the exit had not opened yet. He knocked, only for the grown-ups to coldly ask, Are you dead? Well, how was he to reply if he was dead? But the grown-ups did not like this response. They kept asking the same questions until he at least shouted, Yes. The adults then asked, Did you see it then? Perhaps it was the fear brought on by the darkness combined with hunger and exhaustion. But Harry did indeed see an illusion. The crimson moon, hanging high in the pitch-dark night sky, suddenly turned around, revealing itself to be a titanic, horrified eye. The adults opened the door and embraced the soot-covered Perinheri. You have traversed the fire of two worlds within the hearth, and here you are reborn. Though the crimson moon set, and the dark sun descended into a yet darker dusk, that transcendental being person from beyond who the kingdom orphanage was waiting never arrived. But unusual individuals they had aplenty, and many of those who strode forth from the gates of that orphanage became great, unless he were forced to compete with his best friend, a labyrinth. They should have competed for glory and decided who was superior through the amount of honors they crowned themselves in, and the number of goblets of fine wine down during the festivities afterward. But for some reason, their rivalry would make a mortal turn. And that day, the orphanage welcomed a new member. She was a beautiful young lady from a foreign land who claimed to be a noble princess. Her nation had been defeated by Durs Urim, and yet the daughter of a priestly line, she remained and would not submit to it. And so he had drifted, wandering through the gates of her kingdom. She called herself Angelica, meaning one who is as a divine mercenary. Fair Angelica declared that she would only marry the mightiest knight in all of the kingdom. Perinheri cared not a whit. Her labyrinth was smitten with her. Angelica would often take walks near the Sea of Wells, and there she spoke much of the outside world to the labyrinth. Perinheri would come along out of concern for his friend, He became suspicion was born in him sooner than curiosity. He would doubt her every word, yet wished that he might see those things one day. Angelica's arrival changed the labyrinth altogether. He would cause trouble, looking for any provocation upon which to stake a duel against other knights. He would win all these bouts in turn to Angelica to show off his prowess. But all she ever gave him was a cool smile. What great feat was it for a great runner if they raced a tortoise and triumphed? Njord, who walks with the dark sprites, Alf, the greatest warrior in the university's Magnistrum, Alberic, the commander of half the knights, and Perinheri, the undefeated. Angelica spoke thus of the mightiest fingers in the kingdom as she stalked. Having fallen head over heels into the throes of love, Alberic came to what was an all too reasonable conclusion for himself. People might call him a traitor, or believe him mad. Even so, he had no wish to hurt Perinheri. As for Perinheri, he believed that his best friend's madness would be cured, if only he could kill Angelica. In the midst of that merciless of pursuits, three left the kingdom's borders. At that very moment, Labyrinth clutched his face, and the words escaping his mouth gradually grew more like the howling of a wild beast. The witch, Angelica, explained thus. Labyrinth is the descendant of those who forsook and came to the kingdom. This is why the kingdom's obstinately pure-blooded aristocracy persists. This is the price of betraying. As for you, Perinheri, you are one who drifted there. Thus you bear no such curse. You may not have the nobility to shoulder a world, but you too have your own destiny. And as for me, I betrayed no one, not for a moment, so I too bear this curse not. But you now see who I truly am, yes? The sun rose over the horizon at that moment. Perinheri's blade slipped from his fingers, exhausted from the night-long battle. Covering his forehead with the back of his hand, he looked upon the sun for the first time, and when he glanced back at Angelica, he saw that she was neither a beautiful woman from Lyria nor a wicked witch. I am freedom, that which has broken free of fate. This is what her labyrinth sought in agony, but that which is now yours for the taking. There was nothing before Perinheri, only a vast, empty land.